Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Yes, Thursday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN. And my goodness, we have so much to do today. I got to tell you, I am so amped for the Final Four. I can't wait to watch the Final Four, bet on the Final Four. We're going to lock in some picks today for the Final Four. Matt McCall, our coach, is going to join us, and I am really excited to get into a Final Four preview. And listen, this is everything that we thought we were going to get in terms of high-level hoops coming up in San Antonio. We are ecstatic about the Final Four coming up. I can't wait coming up in 15 minutes to get into some NFL draft, get into some football, because we are exactly 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, and there is so much smoke, so much juice, so much to get bets in on now, real early, with some tea leaves that are pointing in certain directions, and we will help separate fact from fiction on the Browns, the Giants, the Patriots, the Raiders for the upcoming draft. Can't wait for that. We've got some hockey, some Stanley Cup big picture plays. We will get into everything going on in the NBA with our news, notes, nuggets, and nightly plays. Listen, you know I'm obsessed with betting on baseball, obsessed with watching baseball, obsessed with day ball, and we've got a couple of afternoon games as we speak. And hey, break up the Boston Red Sox all of a sudden. When you take a look at Alex Bregman, his first home run, wearing a Boston Red Sox uniform, and it is 5-3 as we speak. The Boston Red Sox are leading the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. 5-3 is the score. And we mentioned Bregman, of course, with the home run, and that is certainly good news. Boston had 2 in the first, 2 in the second. So the Red Sox are leading the Orioles in Baltimore, and the Rockies and the Phillies are playing as we speak as well. That has been a bit of a surprising pitcher's duel, but Philadelphia is up 2-0 as we speak on the Rockies. So that game is trending towards the under, and Bryce Harper has an RBI in this one, which is great for our fantasy team, and that's huge. That's all we care about from a Colorado and Philadelphia perspective. So we have the Philadelphia Phillies. Need another run if you have Philly on the run line here. So the Philadelphia Phillies and the Colorado Rockies 2-0 as we speak. We will keep you up to date. And if there's any change in the odds or anything significant, yesterday felt so great about that in-show bet with the Kansas City Royals. They were plus 390, and then they lost in extra innings. Win some, lose some. I'll tell you who wins them all. How about Shohei Ohtani and the LA Dodgers? Are you kidding me? Shohei Ohtani absolutely spanked, crushed. Of course he did. A walk-off homer for the 8-0 LA Dodgers. Sports, you gotta love sports. Sporty sports, sports. It was 5-0. Atlanta was winning 5-0. This game was on national TV, on MLB Network. I literally at 5-0 checked the odds and bam, put a bet on the Dodgers to win. Dodgers money line. Because this team has toughness and guts and grit that goes way beyond their payroll. If you want to sit here and tell me the Dodgers are bad for baseball, I'm sorry. I've got a problem with you. Did you see how they came back? And this was in a game where Max Muncy made a couple of errors and kicking the ball around, and Blake Snell, who was pitching great, was giving up, all these unearned runs. None of the 5 runs that were given up were charged to his record, nothing earned. And it could have just been one of those games where, all right, you already won the series against Atlanta. Get ready for the flights, get ready to go to Philadelphia, get ready for the off day. That's not how these Dodgers are wired. Here's Tommy Edman, steps to the plate, bam! Anyone in baseball could have had Tommy Edman from the Cardinals last year. That's not about money. Up steps to the plate, Michael Conforto. I mean, Mets fans, Giants fans appreciate who Conforto is, but anyone could have had him in the offseason. And then here's Max Muncy, steps to the plate, able to tie up the game. It's the 8th inning. I took to Twitter, and you just knew. And here's Shohei Ohtani. And never, ever, ever, if you're a Dodger fan or a baseball fan or a sports fan, take this freak, this cat, this unicorn for granted. This is unprecedented greatness and genius. It's Ohtani bobblehead night. You have 4-hour delays, people trying to get into Chavez Ravine, trying to get a Shohei bobblehead. Listen to the quotes, read the quotes from the Dodgers players when you take a look at the post-game locker room. Everybody knew Shohei was going to deliver. I mean, that's who he is. And he hit a rocket, walked it off, place went absolutely bonkers. Everybody holding their Ohtani bobblehead in their hands. Man, that was all sorts of awesome here. So listen, if you're a baseball fan, you have to love this. You know, if you hate it, you're going to watch it. That's good for baseball and the Dodgers. And it's interesting. You look at the World Series odds, it's now plus 250. I mean, that's plus 250. We got it at plus 390. I mean, they keep winning and everybody keeps appreciating. It's pretty great. Now, if you're a Braves fan, it is noteworthy and you don't want to panic. It's early, but it's getting late pretty early here. I mean, let's be honest. When, you know, we're not even at the Masters yet. And if the Phillies hold on and win today, Atlanta's going to be 5.5 games out in the first week of April. That's not great. And obviously, you look at the Braves odds board, and listen, they are right now, when you look at it, minus 18 when you take a look at their run differential. So 0-7 is 0-7. You know, Strider hasn't pitched yet. Acuna Jr. hasn't played yet, but obviously not the start you're looking for the Atlanta Braves. The San Diego Padres are perfect, and this is all sorts of awesome, and it's amazing. Every night a new hero. Jackson Merrill got his 9-year, $135 million contract. Bam, hits a homer. Fernando Tatis Jr., bam, double steal. Dylan Cease, cease and desist if you're a Guardians batter yesterday. I mean, that was incredible when you take a look at how he was able to dominate. And, you know, it's just amazing watching these Padres play. And for all the haters and the critics and the media elite, look, Dodgers are the best team in baseball, bar none. We told you the Padres would make the playoffs before the season started. I hope you were able to bang them in terms of making the playoffs. And, you know, now the odds have totally shifted. We got it at plus money before the season started. Padres and the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen was awesome against my Yankees last night, 13 strikeouts. I expect 3 teams from the NL West to make the playoffs when it's all said and done. So I think that the Padres, this is no fluke. This is great stuff. I absolutely love watching this team play, and I think that the San Diego Padres are going to be able to keep on keeping on because they have elite starting pitching. They're a good bet night in, night out because they're going to just be a solid, measured, even-keeled baseball team, a trustworthy baseball team in terms of gambling. We've already had a lot of success doing that in the very early first 7 days of the campaign. Excellent stuff here from the San Diego Padres. Also undefeated. Dodgers are 8-0. They haven't even been able, because of the Padres' genius, to run away with the division. How about some NBA? We're going to do some more baseball later. SGA, MVP. And I know there are a lot of people, you know, the Zach Cohens of the world who still think that, you know, Nikola Jokic is the MVP. And I'm obsessed with Jokic. He's an elite all-time player. But SGA is the MVP. I mean, it's kind of crazy. 33 points. And you take a look at the standings in the West, and you saw OKC destroy Detroit last night. There's a really good Detroit team. And, I mean, when you're able to win and cover the 12.5-point spread, and then you factor in all these games that SGA has where he is just dominant and he is on fire. And, you know, we've talked about this. This is one of the all-time great seasons in the history of the NBA. 64-12, and they're 14.5 games up on second place in the Western Conference. And look at the odds to win the West. This, to me, is pretty important here when you look at it. I mean, it's minus 150, and then look at Denver at plus 650. I mean, Vegas is telling you what I've been telling you preseason and all season. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder's world, and we're just living in it. So That is really terrific and tremendous stuff here when it comes to the Thunder, and I am not surprised. The only thing that would stun me is if they don't make the NBA Finals and, frankly, win a championship. This team has everything that you are looking for out of a true title contender. Well, the good times officially ended while the Thunder, they have won 11 straight games. Boston's 9-game winning streak got snapped. Miami, the Heat, taking care of business. And how about Miami winning its 6th straight game? And this one was not even close. Obviously, no Porzingis in this one. Look, we're not going to sit here and go nuts. You know, I never would have picked Miami. And if you had a Miami ticket, plus 360 on the money line, congrats. Betting on this one, playing this one, never even crossed my mind. So good job by you if you opted to roll here with Miami. I think that the Celtics, when you look at it, are still just an incredible basketball team. Health is obviously going to be important. But a little love, and I'll seize the moment here, and it feels better, and I've been staying very consistent. I really still think that Cleveland is going to represent the East. I mean, I get it, right? Boston has all the experience. I understand that. Celtics are the overwhelming favorite right now in Vegas, minus 130 as opposed to Cavs at plus 210. And nobody else is really in the ballpark. I'm going to continue to back Cleveland. I think that Cleveland, you know, I know they don't have the championship experience, the playoff experience collectively as a group. I don't think, because they can win any style of fight, I don't think they're going to be ripe to get picked off before the Eastern Conference Finals. And I expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to emerge as the winner of the Eastern Conference.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The VSiN Summer Special is here from Augusta to the NFL Draft, MLB, NBA, NHL postseason, Kentucky Derby. Visa Pro has you covered all summer long for just $59. Sign up now and get expert picks, including all our best bets for the Masters. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. 24/7 video access on the critically acclaimed VSiN Watch app. Plus, our Kentucky Derby betting guide and NFL betting guide, and when it drops this summer, setting you up for a winning football season. Every sport, every edge, one price. Get the full VSiN Pro access from now through August 1st for just $59. VSiN.com/subscribe, VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. We are literally 3 weeks to the day away from the 2025 NFL Draft. And listen, you know I'm football obsessed. We are NFL Draft obsessed. And we're starting to get into the mindset here. And we've given you some of the numbers on DraftKings in terms of over, unders. And, you know, there's some you want to lock in now before the draft, and other ones you want to wait and see after the draft and or after the schedule is released. And this all coincides here with the draft. And there are some amazing props that I think it's important to kind of get ahead on some of them now. And let's start with this, with all that as a backdrop. What is Cleveland going to do with the 2nd overall pick? Now, let's assume for the sake of conversation, Cam Ward is going number 1 overall. And I was talking to our friend Greg Cosell from NFL Matchup Show on ESPN, NFL Films. He has Cam Ward in the same category of quarterback as Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and Drake May from last year's draft. And I agree with him. So let's take Cam Ward out of it. He's going number 1 to Tennessee. I think Vegas nailed it on Abdul Carter. And Adam Schefter from ESPN has been all over this. And, you know, when Shefty speaks, Vegas reacts. I think that Carter right now, and the juice is not really worth the squeeze at minus 250, it's really the only play. The only other player I would consider sprinkling anything on would be Shedeur Sanders at plus 700. That's That's it. Now, I think, and I want you to stay with me on this, you got to pay attention to some of the things that came out of the owners' meetings this week. When Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot were talking to the press, coach and general manager respectively in Atlanta, and they softened their stance on trading Kirk Cousins, saying they will do it if in fact it benefits the team. Well, that to me signals Cleveland, because Kirk Cousins does not want to be there. And I can appreciate the embarrassment factor for Atlanta. They gave Kirk Cousins $100 million. It's going to go down in history as one of the worst free agent contracts ever in the NFL. Like, there's no debate about that. Now, clearly they were concerned always when they drafted Michael Penix Jr., which made the whole thing crazy. So now they're going to eradicate their mistake. It doesn't benefit them self-serving-wise. Have the $100 million mistake literally there as a reminder of how inept the franchise is. And it doesn't help Michael Penix Jr. in case he struggles. I don't think he will, but Kirk Cousins is not there to mentor Michael Penix Jr., so trade him. And remember, Cousins and Kevin Stefanski, the Browns coach, they were together in Cleveland. They were together in Minnesota. So reuniting them in Cleveland, that makes sense. Kenny Pickett is in Cleveland. I think Kenny Pickett is solid. So they don't have to, for a team that needs a quarterback, they don't have to force it if Carter is the best player on their board. And the educated guess is he will be. Guys, put up the odds for the Cleveland Browns. I want everyone to take a look at this. The Browns win total right now on DraftKings is 4.5. I kind of like the over. And, you know, I would wait to see if you can get a little better juice on the win total. We'll see what happens with the draft. But you got to remember, this team did make the playoffs with Joe Flacco. You know, Myles Garrett signed the contract. I do think that they can stumble into 5 wins, and I don't think Deshaun Watson will ever play for them again. So I think right now we're looking at Cousins and Pickett at quarterback. I think we're looking at Abdul Carter going number 2 and the over for the Cleveland Browns. So a couple of things to remember there from a Browns betting perspective. Now, what are the Giants going to do with the 3rd overall pick? Giants, it's a totally different scenario because I think the GM is on the hot seat, the coach is on the hot seat, and the Giants have botched the quarterback position going back to Dave Gettleman. It was a special blend of arrogant and ignorant, you know, going back to 2018 when I said he should have drafted a quarterback and he took Barkley. Saquon's amazing, but they needed a quarterback and should have drafted, I said at the time, Josh Allen or Sam Darnold. And then they had to reach on Daniel Jones, and they paid Daniel Jones. The new regime did, and then they found that up last year and didn't draft a quarterback last year. And that leads us to this, and it's important here. And just because they signed Russell Wilson and just because they signed, at the end of the day, Jameis Winston, that doesn't mean they're out of the quarterback business. Right now, Vegas favors Travis Hunter to the Giants. I agree with that. I'll tell you what's tasty, though. Plus 350 Shedeur Sanders. Because I do think that the easiest way to save your job, because if you draft Hunter, who I love, special Shohei Ohtani player, I think he's a full-time corner. I think he's Patrick Surtain at corner, and he'll play in certain packages and be an impactful wide receiver. I think he'll be great. But, you know, you can't put him out there on every single down and every single play because that'll impact how he plays as a corner. I think the quickest way to save your job is Shedeur Sanders. I don't think if you draft Travis Hunter that you're all of a sudden going to win 8-9 games and you're moving in the right direction. Now, I promise I'm going to throw my phone away during the draft when the Giants pick. Giants need a quarterback. They messed it up last year, the prior years. You know, what I would do is take Travis Hunter and then try and trade 35, which is where they pick in the second round, 3rd in the second round. Trade that back into the first round, take some of next year's picks, maybe even a first rounder next year. Who knows if they're going to be there, and try to get Jackson Dart. That's what I would do, because when you take a look at the Giants and their futures and their odds, I mean, 5.5, I love the under. Like, if you check their schedule, which is impossible, I mean, how are the Giants going to win 6+ games? It's a non-starter for me. So that's where I'm at when it comes to the New York Football Giants right about now. If Shedeur Sanders is there, I do think there's a realistic chance the Giants take him. We'll find out if they love him, and you take him if you love him. If you like him, well, you can't do that. So that means the Patriots are sitting pretty. And there's a real shot, with all this as a backdrop, that we could see Travis Hunter go to the New England Patriots. And if he does, my goodness, I'm going to absolutely fall on the floor and laugh because, Travis Hunter is, top 3 player in this draft. If the Patriots get him, especially after winning with Joe Milton, who was traded today to the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, they had to trade him. He was too good. And why they picked him in the first place, same draft as Drake May, I'll never know. I mean, I don't know what the hell was going on with the Crafts last year, but they got rid of Gerard Mayo, who will never coach again in the National Football League. Take a look at the odds for the New England Patriots for the 4th overall pick. I would certainly put a buck or two on Travis Hunter. People are all into the debate on Will Campbell and his arm length. I mean, Will Campbell, to me, would be a nice option if Hunter and Carter are off the board at plus 300. Will the Raiders draft Ashton Jeanty? The answer to me is absolutely. In fact, John Spytek, the great new general manager, was on SiriusXM NFL Radio talking to our friends Justin Pugh and Lee J. Dujable, and he said, look, his son already told him if they don't draft Jeanty, that he's going to leave the family. That's not good. You want to make sure your son doesn't walk away. And Vegas agrees with John Spytek's son. I mean, he might be controlling the odds in Vegas. Minus 165. I think Jeanty is going to be a superstar. And if you have Jeanty on your team, that's amazing. And it all trends in the same direction. Pete Carroll, establish a culture, older coach. Here's Geno Smith, who signed today a new contract, 2 years, $75 million, with the opportunity to earn $85.5 million total through 2027. Listen, that makes a lot of sense. I think the Bears, if he gets past the Raiders, would absolutely pounce. Raiders, Ashton Jeanty makes all the sense in the world. Trey Hendrickson was on ESPN yesterday with our good friend Pat McAfee, AJ Hawk, D-Bud, and the boys on the critically acclaimed Pat McAfee show. And he said he's disappointed by the Katie Blackburn commentary that, he should be happy with the offer that's on the table. I mean, Cincinnati knows that Trey Hendrickson is the most sacks in the NFL over the last 2 years, right? I mean, they have to know that. And they need him back. And honestly, look at the odds here for the Cincinnati Bengals. I would be nervous on making a play until I knew about Trey Hendrickson. Right now, I would go with the over on 9.5. But if they sign Hendrickson, I think winning the AFC North at plus 220. Ooh, baby.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Put your skills to the test in the Hoops and Horses Pick'em Challenge. It's brought to you by our friends at First Bet. Sign up for free to play at VSiN.com/hoopsandhorses and make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races and basketball matchups. Top pickers are going to receive First Bet vouchers you could use to bet upcoming races on First Bet, including the Kentucky Derby on May the 3rd. From the hardwood to the home stretch, play now at VSiN.com/hoopsandhorses. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Joining us right now live on the Progressive Guest Line, our coach, Matt McCall, of course, college basketball analyst for NBC Sports and SiriusXM, and, of course, the incredible Field of 68. Coach, how are you?
What's happening, fellas? We're out here live. We are in San Antonio. It's starting to get a little bit of a buzz as people are getting into town, and we're going to get some good basketball games coming up on Saturday. So appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, Coach, listen, anytime you join Make It Rain with Adam Schein, I always feel good about it and always love chopping it up with you. And I want to get your take. And I had Todd Golden on my SiriusXM radio show this week, and he couldn't say enough great things about Walter Clayton Jr. and what he means. As a coach, how do you put into words how special Clayton is for this Florida team?
I'll tell you what, it's challenging, and as a coach, sometimes I look at him and I'm saying, man, he's a little bit too casual. He's casual with the ball in his hands. He's casual sometimes on defense, and I need to throw that term away. What it is he has a calmness about him. He has a demeanor that no moment is too big for him. I mean, he had a play in the Texas Tech game where he's underneath the rim with a live dribble and very calmly dribbles the ball all the way back out to the perimeter. And you're thinking Florida's getting ready to run an offensive step. They're getting ready to move the floor. They're somehow going to get a shot up in this situation. And no, he just turns around and hoists a three that goes in. That calmness is what makes him such a special player. No moment is too big for him.
We had Bruce Pearl on the show and was talking to him on Monday about Chani Broome and the health for the special ball player who just does it all. It is a beast down low for Auburn. Are you concerned at all when it comes to the health for Broome in the Final Four?
I think a little bit, but you also have to understand everybody's dinged up right now. These guys have been going at it since June. The rules are different. Nowadays, you can practice full-fledged 5-on-5 when you get your players to campus in June. So nobody's going to be feeling great. That was one of the most awkward, we'll call it, injuries that we've seen. You saw him with the ankle, then he goes down with the elbow. So he was dealing with a lot. At this point in time in the season, when it comes to practice, your practice time is really minimized just to focus on what do you have to do in the game on offense to attack them, and what do you have to do defensively? How are you guarding their actions? Outside of that, it's rehab, it's rest, it's ice, it's getting off your legs to make sure that you're 100% ready to go for the game on Saturday night. So Broome's had plenty of time now. You got to think that he'll be, if not 100%, close to 100%, and that bodes well for Auburn Tiger fans.
Let's get into the style for Florida here because they are so gritty, so tough, so resourceful. And that game, and Coach Golden said as much to me when you take a look at when Florida beat Auburn, when Auburn was the best team in the country, that kind of caught everyone's attention and how great Florida can be and why all the goals were there. And you saw what they did the rest of the regular season. And then championship week in the SEC and now here in the NCAA tournament. Coach, with that said, and this team has great tenacity. We saw what happened on Saturday. We saw what happened against UConn. Can they have that style of fight against Auburn? I'd be a little concerned, and I like Florida to win. But if Florida is trailing big or Auburn is in control throughout, kind of like what happened on Saturday or in the round of 32 against UConn, I don't think Florida can survive that kind of game. What's your take on that?
The only thing I'll say is this. If there is a negative, if there was a knock on this Auburn Tiger team, if there was a flaw, I think the freedom at times they play with on the offensive end of the floor and the shot selection at times keeps you in the game even if you're down. Because we've seen Baker Mazzara come down without any passes in the possession and crank a three. We've seen Tahaj Pettiford do the exact same thing. Now, their freedom is what makes them so good and dangerous. But if they're getting it across half court and that ball's not hopping around and not moving, shot selection can be an issue for Auburn at times, which tells me if Florida's down 10, just like they were against Texas Tech, we know Todd Golden is an analytical guy. Down 9, under 3, starts to foul. That's what he believes in. That's what he's going to do. So, I just think couple that with Auburn at times taking questionable shots, I don't think even if the Gators are down 10 at the under 8 timeout that they're ever out of that game.
All right, so with that said, I do like Florida in a great game and a close one against Auburn. I think this is going to be a classic. Who you picking, Florida or Auburn, and why?
I think I'm going to take the Gators. You know me, I'm a Gator. I've worked there for 11 years, went to school there, got 2 degrees from there. I'm not taking them because I'm biased. I'm taking them because I do think they're the better team. I think they'll be able to match Auburn's physicality up front. Now that Florida's fully healthy, you got guys like Thomas Houck and Aberdeen coming off the bench. They're deep, they're athletic, and I just think that, again, the shot selection at times from this Auburn Tiger team is why I like the Gators. I like what they're doing on offense. I love Walter Clayton. If you're Auburn, you can't let that guy get up 10 or more threes in the game. You got to somehow try to minimize him. But then we saw the other night, late in the game, it was Thomas Houck that got the Gators back involved in that one. So I just think the firepower the Gators have, I think that they're going to move on and play for the national championship on Monday night.
I am so amped for Duke and Houston, and it's just amazing to me, Coach, what John Shire's team is doing during this tournament. And for anyone who thought, well, they're just bludgeoning teams in the regular season since the ACC, look at what they did spanking Alabama, destroying a championship coach and a really solid Baylor team. What impresses you the most when you take a look at Duke, and what do you expect from Cooper Flagg and company going up against Houston?
Yeah, what doesn't impress me about this team, and to think that they're really doing it without a true point guard. But when you have a playmaker like Cooper Flagg, when you have Con Knipple, when you have Tyrese Proctor, a veteran guard who's been in the program for a number of years, it just makes them so dangerous. And, I think the way that Houston plays on defense is going to play into Duke's hands. And what I mean by that is those guards are big, those guards are physical, and when they set ball screens and Houston commits 2 to the ball and they throw out of those ball screens, it's now the play is off. You have to go make a play. And I don't think there's a team in the country that has more playmakers out on the floor at one point in time, including the best player in the country in Cooper Flagg, than the Duke Blue Devils.
So with all that said, I have Duke winning. I have Duke covering the 5.5-point spread. What's your read on Houston and Duke?
Could not agree with you more. I have Duke winning. I have Duke covering the spread. I have Duke playing Florida in the national championship game on Monday night.
So we're on the exact same page, and that's who I picked to ultimately play when the bracket came out. Let's go, coaches, right? So I'm going to ask you now, right, and you're always honest, you're always objective. We all know it's well documented you're Mr. Florida. So who do you think is going to win the entire thing on Monday night? Who's cutting down the nets?
Oh, man, I go back and forth on this one. I had Florida in my original bracket, but just after watching Duke go through this NCAA tournament the way they have, there's nobody in the country that's playing better than them. Florida has looked at times like the team that we've seen be able to, get themselves to a Final Four, but there's also been times where they haven't played up to their potential. I don't think we've seen Florida play a complete game yet. And with that being said, I just think that's what Duke's done this entire tournament. So I give the edge to the Duke Blue Devils on Monday night.
Coach, you are the absolute best. We always appreciate the time, my friend, and enjoy San Antonio. We will be watching on the field of 68. We'll be listening on SiriusXM, and as always, we appreciate the time.
Appreciate you guys having me on anytime.
You want to know where the money is really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you the insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa known for taking the big bets from the professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move the old lines. See the percentage of bets versus the percentage of handle. Every single game, every major sport. Helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's summer special right now for only $59 until August 1st at VSiN.com/subscribe.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Yes. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Final segments. Our news, notes, nuggets, and nightly plays. And how about our guy, Alexander Ovechkin, netting goal number 892 in his legendary, iconic career. Just 3 away now from the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who obviously is a Mount Rushmore all-time athlete in the Big Four in North American sports, NHL, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. And the fact that Ovechkin's going to move past Gretzky when it comes to goals, which is the name of the game, when you take a look at it from a hockey standpoint, it's amazing. And people like to say, oh, it's a Sidney Crosby era. No, it's the Crosby-Ovechkin era. That's what we're talking about when you reference all-time greats. That's how Ovechkin should be judged. That's who he is. And look, when you check the Stanley Cup odds, it is not out of the realm of possibility here that everything is turning up Ovi. Now, I'm not ready to take the cheese here on the Capitals making a run, but we have to have the discussion when you take a look at 11-1 in terms of the odds for the Caps. Now, I still think that, by the way, the Maple Leafs and Oilers, that was my preseason pick when we did our Stanley Cup preview here on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Maple Leafs clinched a spot when you take a look at the postseason last night, and that's the 9th straight year that's happened. And go through the longest consecutive streaks in the Big Four, as we mentioned, for the professional sports in North America. Maple Leafs, 9 years. The Dodgers, the Chiefs, the Boston Celtics, longest consecutive streaks for making the playoffs in their respective sports. Maple Leafs, though, they're the only one of that group that doesn't have a title. So I think that the Maple Leafs will be stiff competition, real competition to the Capitals. You still have to account for the Florida Panthers, still have to account for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I do think that there is a real shot here that I'm not betting it, I'm not picking it, but it could be just that everything coming up Ovi kind of turn here for the NHL, and that's not a bad thing here for the National Hockey League. Now, Oilers got to get healthy. I still think the Oilers can win that Stanley Cup, and it's elusive, and they need to do it with Connor McDavid. I still think that the Stars, Vegas favorite at plus 600. Golden Knights interest me greatly at 11-1. So I think this is going to be look at these teams, right? You could make a case for the Stars, Panthers, Avalanche, Oilers, Hurricanes, Capitals, Golden Knights, Lightning, Jets, Maple Leafs. I would draw a line after the Maple Leafs. That's great for the thrill and the drama, and can't wait to watch and can't wait to bet on the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's always a blast when it comes to the National Hockey League. How about the NBA? We reference, obviously, what happened last night with OKC and the fact that they were able to take care of business, and they are unequivocally going to win the West, and they are absolutely going to win a championship. Listen, I still have the Thunder and the Cavs in the NBA Finals. Preseason, it was Thunder Knicks. That ship has sailed. Even though, listen, Jalen Brunson should be coming back this weekend, which is only everything for my Knicks. But, this kind of flipped on a dime if you watched it on ESPN last night, where Knicks jumped out to a stunning big lead, and then bam, Cleveland just poured on the points and came back, and, the Cavs could win any style of fight. They never quit. Not only did they win, they turned it on, covered the 10.5-point spread, and the Knicks fall to 0-6 on the season against the two best teams in the East, Cleveland and Boston. I thought going into the year, and you remember, everyone and their mother liked Philly, not me. I said there were 3 teams that could win the East: Cleveland, Boston, and the Knicks. And I can't put the Knicks in that category right now, but last night is just another example of why the Cavs need to be taken seriously as a team that can beat Boston to win the East and can win an NBA title. Hey, how about some rare nice things for the Dallas Mavericks and Anthony Davis? And this was, bar none, AD's best performance as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. 34 points, 15 rebounds, 5 block shots. And the Dallas Mavericks winning on a bucket by AD at the very end of this game. Also played great defense against Trae Young at the end. If you had the Mavericks money line, congrats. If you had the Hawks with the points, congrats. That's a good one last night for Anthony Davis and the Dallas Mavericks. We have some ball games coming up tonight and this afternoon. Only 3 in baseball. I know it's a travel day. It's early in the season. I'm not going to go in on Rob Manfred and say, oh, why only a couple of games tonight? But selfishly, I wish there was more we could watch and more we could bet on. And I want you to stay with me here because it's rare I get to say this. I love the Minnesota Twins. I think the Minnesota Twins money line tonight with Joe Ryan on the bump facing the Houston Astros, minus 135. I think that's the best baseball play. I really believe that. Twins on the money line, minus 135. That, to me, is the best baseball play for us on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Ryan is on the bump, Saving Private Ryan, Matty Ice. We think that, Ryan is an excellent pitcher. Not just saying that because Mr. Ryan, who has a 1.8 ERA, not just because Joe Ryan was drafted very high spent a lot of money on him on our fantasy team, but we're going to go with the Twins, minus 135, to beat the Houston Astros. Yankees. My goodness, that was a rough one for my Yankees last night. Really, really rough one. Zach Gallen is superb. We mentioned this piecemeal beginning of the show with all the National League West conversation. Diamondbacks are going to be great this year, and Corbin Carroll's fantastic, and Marte's fantastic, and he just got an extension. Zach Gallen sliced and diced my Yankees last night, 13 strikeouts. They looked like they were swinging a wet noodle at the plate. I mean, they couldn't make contact if they tried. I mean, torpedo bats don't work if you can't make any contact. So that was a rough one for the Yankees. Got to imagine Yankees, who were underdogs last night, will be able to bounce back and win tonight. You see the number right there, Yankees minus 125. And it's an interesting pitching matchup. You got Cookie Carrasco making his debut for the Yanks. So Carrasco against Kelly. We'll see if the Yankees 3-2 in the season can bounce back against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And listen, this has not been, as it's turned out, a strong series for the Yankees. And remember, I go back to our preseason take on over-unders and win totals. I said Arizona is one of the 6 best teams in baseball and all 6 in the National League. So just something to consider for Arizona and New York. Reds Brewers tonight in Milwaukee, 7:40 Eastern Time. I do not trust the Milwaukee Brewers. I do not like the Milwaukee Brewers. Reds obviously have not been able to score, losing back-to-back 1-0 games. That's about as problematic as it gets. Nasty Nestor takes his junk stuff to the mound tonight. Nick Lodolo is going to be on the bump for Cincinnati. I like the Reds on the money line tonight at plus 100. Plus 100 for my guy Terry Francona, who I had on my SiriusXM radio show yesterday, and the Cincinnati Reds. Warriors-Lakers. A lot of eyeballs on this one tonight. Obviously, Steph, of course, coming off of that 50-burger. Lakers coming off of that incredible performance when, you take a look at what they were able to do against Houston. Basically, a pick'em tonight. I wouldn't touch this one. I would have a lean, though, on the Lakers' money line. Grizzlies at the Heat. Normally, this would be a time where you say, okay, Heat are on fire. Maybe they cool off. I don't trust the Grizzlies as far as I could throw them. I think that Miami plus 5.5 makes a lot of sense. Time now to give out our best bets, brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of Visa. G-Bank's up in the all-ante with a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First new customers spend $1,000 in eligible purchases in 90 days from account opening. $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads in the first 30 days of the account opening, you'll get another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Wow. Apply now at Visa.com/GBank, Visa.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions apply. We're going to lock it in. Duke minus 5.5 against Houston. Duke minus 5.5 against Houston. You're welcome, America and Canada. Stay tuned to VSiN after Make It Rain for Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard. Joining the show today, WAER Syracuse grad Tim Bentz, who's going to give the guys a little look-see at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the outlook for the draft, and off-season moves. Tim Bentz. Love Tim Bentz. Then it's VSiN Prime Time with Matty Humans and Jonathan Van Tobel. By the way, following JVT on Twitter, that's a wild ride, man. He has been angry at the NBA media recently. Very, very angry. Great job by the crew in Vegas and Michael Cohen. We'll talk to you mañana. Make it rain with Adam Schein.